Hello everyone, welcome back to MgM. This is Jimmy. Today we're going to be painting some miniatures from BLKOUT and Harlow's First Reaction Force. You may have seen this game mentioned on Tabletop Minions from Adam. I did see these folks at Adepticon and ended up buying the 2-player starter set. It contains 2 forces, 9 miniatures each. We're going to show you how to paint up Harlow's First Reaction Force today, and it's going to be very quickly using a speed paint job. Now I will leave links down in the description so you can take a look at this game on your own. They have a fantastic Discord community which is very active, and there's constantly new players joining, myself included. And I'm really looking forward to doing some games of this on the channel, maybe doing a how to play tutorial and showing you more about it. Now, since we're going to be using a contrast or speed paint method, I did go for a Zenithal Prime. There's a number of ways you can achieve this. You can do a paint on black and dry brush. You can do a spray of black with a white dusting from the top, or you can use an airbrush. The first paint that I'm going to go with is going to be the Army Painter Speed Paint Sand Golem, and I'm going to use this to get the majority of the model. This will include his pants, his jacket, the majority of his helmet, pouches, and anything else. You can really add in colors or color variations if you want, but for these initial ones, I'm just showing you how quickly you can get a decent paint job on these miniatures and get them on the table. For a little bit of the backstory on BLKOUT, and you can read all about this on the Discord again, which I highly recommend joining. In the decades that follow from where we are now, there's obviously a war-torn Earth and a lot of nuclear fallout from nations waging war against each other. As such, the United Nations and other organizations are looking to colonize other planets, and towards the end of the 21st century, they do colonize Able. While life goes on another planet, there are still tons of politics and the nations that left Earth that are heavily involved in pulling the strings on this new planet. The Harlow Kinetic Solutions are kind of the day-to-day enforcement arm of the Authority, which was previously an extension of the United Nations. It's an interesting setting because we are playing in the future, but it's not too far of the distant future, so there's still some modern, recognizable technologies being used, which is really cool. You can download the rules for this game for free on their website, and again, I'll put a link down in the description below. For our next color, we are going with the Army Painter Grim Black. This is another speed paint. You do want to try to be a little more concise with this paint. If you do spill over though, it's not a big deal because we're going to end up highlighting this model and we can cover up any mistakes in a later step. But I'm going to use Grim Black to get this mechanical type of deal that's running down his legs. I'm also going to get his boots that are black. You could easily use a brown for this as well. And I will be getting some of the scopes on his helmet as well as his gun. Now this paint lays down extremely smooth, and what I love about using this speed paint method is we are not going to use a wash because essentially this speed paint is taking care of that for us. And that's one of the things that can slow us down when we're painting, is we lay down a base coat when we're painting traditionally, and then we use a wash, and that wash can sometimes take 30 to 45 minutes to dry depending on where you live, and then we go back and start to highlight the model back up. But I find when you're painting just a few of these soldiers, the paint will be dry and you're ready to just keep on rocking. You don't even take any breaks and you don't have to use a wash, so it just moves so much faster. Alright, next we are going to go to the Army Painter Gunner Camo, and you could easily use Camo Cloak for this, which comes in one of their starter paint sets. I just happened to grab Camo Cloak. It's a good kind of a military green type of color, and we're just going to use this to get the shirt that he's wearing. I'm also going to do his gloves in this color as well, but you could easily make those black, brown, whatever you choose. This would also be a good alternate color to use for some straps or pouches if you wanted to switch up some of those colors instead of it being all the same on his uniform. The next color we'll grab is the Army Painter Speed Paint Gravelord Gray, and I'm just going to use this to kind of get the inner workings of the mask that he's wearing. You could also elect to use Grim Black for this. I just didn't want it to be as dark, and I figured Gravelord Gray would give it just a little bit of variation. So just like that, all of your base coats are complete, and this is an opportunity to go back and touch up wherever you see any white showing through on the model. Just go back. Your colors are still going to be wet on your palette. You can easily go back, grab whatever color you need, and just do some touch-up work here and there. Now, just as a quick comparison, you can easily see that this model is not where we want it to be just yet. You could easily put the model on the right on the table and go ahead and begin playing. Not a big deal, you just want to be sure you seal it with a little bit of varnish, but we are going to go through and kind of highlight some of these colors back up. You don't have to be very careful here. The first paint that I grab is Vallejo Tan Earth. You could easily use just any kind of lighter sand kind of a color. And again, you don't have to be very methodical here. I just go through and try to pick out where light would be, hitting the pants, hitting the jacket, you know, on the helmet, things like that. And I just quickly throw my brush in there and just give it some highlight. What you want to do is try to avoid going into the recesses. Again, the speed paint takes care of that wash step for us, as you can see here, and we just kind of bring some of this back out with some color, leaving that darker color in the recesses. I move around the model pretty quickly, adding a little bit of paint here, a little bit of paint there. It's just really wherever you think light is going to be coming down on the model, you just throw some paint on there and call it good. You have to think that these guys are going to be in outdoor conditions, in the weather and the dirt and the dust, so it really doesn't have to be perfect. The next paint I grab is the Army Painter Army Green, and this is a good color to go back over the camo cloak or the gunner camo color that you used. Again, just focusing on the top of his arms, whatever colors that had this green. If you had any pouches, it would obviously start at the top and just bring that brush down with some of this color and leave the bottom the darker color. Next up, I'm going to grab a white color. I think I used Wolf Gray or something like that, but where he is going to have some lenses on the helmet, I am going to go through and kind of re-highlight them in this color because we will use the speed paint on the top and it's going to show so much better over a white. For the lenses on his headgear, if you covered those in with black earlier, this would be a good time to go back in and highlight those back up in a white color as well, and we'll use the speed paint later on. Now you will see where I made a mistake here, and I had too much water on my brush. I bled in too much to the recesses, so I quickly dried off my brush and just went back in and tried to soak some of that back up, wipe the brush clean, go back and soak some of it up. Everything is easily correctable. You could even go back in with some more Gravelord Gray if you wanted to kind of start over if you needed to. Alright, next we are going to use Vallejo Iraqi Sand, and we're going to do a dry brush here where we wipe the majority of the paint off on a paper towel, and then we're just going to go up and down and side to side across the model. This is going to really give it some highlights on the edges and kind of bring a new tone to the entire miniature. I'm going to go over just about everything with this color, including the weapon, his sleeves, the pants, the boots, just about everything, because at the end of the day, while this does lighten the model up, it is also going to give it some weathering as well. It's subtle, but that simple step will really bring a lot of life to the model. And then I'm going to go back and just kind of get some of that Iraqi sand onto a brush and I'll go around and get some of the higher places on the miniature. So the tops of any folds of his pants or on his jacket, just to really make some of those high areas kind of pop and stand out. Even adding just a little bit at the top of the knees kind of draws your eye there and really just gives it just that subtle bit of variation to make it not all just one color. With that step complete, I grab Magic Blue from the Army Painter. This is another speed paint, and I just go in and grab the lenses on his helmet. And at this point, our model is getting close to done. I'm going to go and do the base. I'm going to use Fire Giant Orange, which is another Army Painter speed paint. I'm going to quickly go through and just hit this base, making it look like a Mars, orange, reddish type of color. I'm going to grab whatever orange that I have behind me. I think this is Citadel's Troll Slayer orange. Go through and give that some highlights to the rocks. For the texture on the base, I did put this down beforehand, and I used Vallejo Earth texture. And then, of course, when I primed the model, it was black, and then it was highlighted with white, so the speed paint took to it very well. I'm going to hit the base with German Gray from Vallejo. This is one of my favorite colors. And then I'm going to put on a grass tuft, and then I had this razor wire from the Army Painter. I've probably had it in my collection for over 10 years. And in looking at some of the models online, I saw that they had some of that on there. So we're going to apply this to the base as well. And with that done, our model is going to be ready to take the field. And using this method, again, you should be able to knock out a model in probably 20 minutes, so you'll be through your models in no time at all. I'm really looking forward to playing this game. The mechanics feel really good. It seems like it's going to be easy to learn, but certainly has some tactical depth to it. It's a game that is in its infancy right now, and there's a handful of factions, I believe 3 if I'm not mistaken, and I'm sure there's going to be more to come as the game grows. I really encourage you to check out the website as well as checking out the Discord if you have any interest in it, and maybe I'll see you there. But I really hope you've enjoyed this little painting guide. I'm obviously not an artist or anything like that. My goal with all of my videos is to really just encourage newer hobbyists to slap some paint on their models and get them on the tabletop. As always, a big thank you to the Supporters Club. Your names are on the screen now. One of those people where I ask for absolutely nothing, so I really appreciate you guys so much. I'll put some affiliate links down below for all of the products and everything else that I've used in this video, so you can reference those. If you got any questions, just let me know down in the comments. Thank you as always for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Take care.